ultimately, we'll wait on her to see what decision that she makes. And there's nothing really more to say beyond that. Thank you.
On the other side of the building, we heard last week that the SNAP deadline today was one of the drivers of behind-the-scenes bipartisan discussions. Now that we know that half of SNAP benefits are going to go out, a little more than 50%, is there still that urgency from both sides, in your view, to try to work out some kind of off-ramp here?
The urgency, as far as I'm concerned, for Democrats, is that we need to reopen the government. We need to find a bipartisan path forward to enacting a spending agreement that actually makes life better for the American people. But we also have to decisively address the Republican health care crisis. In a year where Republicans have enacted the largest cut to Medicaid in American history, almost $1 trillion ripped away from more than 14 million Americans. Hospitals, nursing homes, and community-based health centers are closing all across the country because of Republican policies and what they did in their one big ugly bill. Medicare is confronting a possible $536 billion cut this year if Congress doesn't act by the end of December because of the one big ugly bill. And then on top of all of that, as we find ourselves now in open enrollment, tens of millions of Americans are experiencing dramatically increased premiums, copays, and deductibles because Republicans are unwilling to find a dime to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits for working class, middle class, and everyday Americans. That's why Democrats have been in this fight, to make sure that we are delivering for the American people, lowering the high cost of living and addressing the Republican health care crisis. And it should be done with urgency now. But Mike Johnson and Republicans on Capitol Hill, who don't work for the American people, they just work for Donald Trump, he's their boss, have canceled votes now for 6 consecutive weeks. They're nowhere to be found. They're missing in action. They're scattered throughout the country and the world. They're on a taxpayer-funded vacation while hardworking federal employees have been furloughed or being forced to work without pay. That's sick. That's a sick thing that Republicans are doing. So as Democrats, we're in this fight. Today, we'll be in this fight tomorrow. We'll continue to be in this fight until we address the issues that need to be addressed for the American people.
Mr. Leader.
Leader Jeffries, I guess on the Epstein files, which still have not been released, on a personal note, how does it feel to work with so many grown adults who have been obstructing the release of these Epstein files and, in effect, protecting pedophiles?
Well, the Trump administration and Mike Johnson are running a pedophile protection program. That's what they've been doing. And that's the reason why they refused to swear in Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva. For weeks now. She was elected in late September decisively. And Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva still hasn't been sworn in because she'll become the 218th vote on an up or down piece of legislation that will require the Department of Justice to release the Epstein files. And yet week after week after week have gone by and Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva is unable to serve 800,000 plus people in the state of Arizona, all because of the pedophile protection program being run by Mike Johnson and House Republicans at the direction of their boss, Donald J. Trump.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. You referenced the elections tomorrow, and you expressed for weeks that you expect Democrats to win in Virginia, New Jersey, and California. I'm curious if you believe those victories will be a result of you all presenting yourselves as a check on the Trump administration, or do you feel like Democrats have done an effective job kind of articulating the vision of what America will look like when Democrats are in control, not just resisting what the Trump administration has done, but also putting forward the vision to fix healthcare, as you said, put forward comprehensive immigration, all of the policy kind of planks that Americans are looking for government to fix. Have Democrats this year effectively put forward that vision, or is this just all about a referendum on President Trump and his administration?
I spent time yesterday in New Jersey, including with the next governor of the state of New Jersey, Mikey Sherrill, who's running on a clear platform of lowering costs and making life more affordable. And that, of course, is what Democrats have been doing all across the country. And as House Democrats, we've made clear that the American people deserve better than the extremism that has been unleashed on them. From day one of this presidency, you deserve better. That's the point that Democrats have been making all across the country. And that we're going to work hard to lower the high cost of living. We're going to work hard to fix our broken healthcare system. And we're going to work hard to clean up corruption in Congress, in the courts, and in the administration. Because Donald Trump is running the largest pay-to-play scheme in the history of the country in service of his billionaire donors and enriching his family and friends. And because that's the focus of the Trump administration, costs haven't gone down, they've gone up. Electricity bills through the roof. Housing costs, out of control. Child care costs, out of control. Groceries, out of control. And now tens of millions of Americans are about to experience dramatically increased premiums, copays, and deductibles because of the Republican refusal to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits. Clearly, America's heading in the wrong direction, and there is a better way that Democrats are offering. And that's why I believe we're going to see significant Democratic victories across America, including in New Jersey, in Virginia, and in California. Thank you, thank you.
2 weeks ago, we saw competing bills from Senators Johnson and Van Hollen over how to pay federal workers, essential, non-essential. How do you encourage your Democratic colleagues in the Senate to reconcile those differences between the two bills and move forward, especially if only one of those can move forward and if it's unlikely for the Van Hollen's to move forward?
It's not clear to me what's going to be on the floor of the Senate this week, but what we have said as House Democrats is that we will consider anything bipartisan that emerges from the Senate in good faith, that reopens the government, that is bipartisan in nature, that makes life better for the American people, and of course that decisively addresses the Republican healthcare crisis that's crushing people all throughout this country. In rural America, working class America, urban America, the heartland of America, small town America, and black and brown communities throughout America. The Republican healthcare crisis is crushing people. And that's why Democrats continue to stand up for everyday Americans. Thanks.
If Democrats do evolve tomorrow, how do you think that would change the conversation in regards to the government shutdown? Do you think it could dislodge you guys unstuck from where you are right now?
That's a question that needs to be asked of our Republican colleagues. They've been on the wrong side of Republican sentiment for weeks now. And they could care less. You know why? Because all Republicans care about is the opinion of one man, the puppet master of the Republican Party, Donald J. Trump. They don't care about anything else. How else can you explain the fact that they are weaponizing hunger? How else can one explain the fact that they refuse to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, and they're hurting their own constituents? The 5 states most impacted by the failure to extend the Affordable Care Act are all led by Republicans. West Virginia, Wyoming, Alaska, Mississippi, and Tennessee. Republicans could care less. How else can you explain the fact that Republicans have canceled votes now for 6 consecutive weeks, missing in action, taxpayer-funded vacation, running the pedophile protection program while doing nothing to make life better for the American people? It's all because Donald Trump hasn't given them the order to sit down and actually reopen the government and negotiate a bipartisan path forward. What's Donald Trump been doing this weekend? He was on the golf course spitting in the face of the American people with his inaction and his indifference.
Mr. Leader.
A similar question. Johnson insisted this morning that tomorrow could end up being a sea change in this shutdown. Essentially, Democrats would no longer feel as afraid of their voters and thus might be open to moving and going along to reopen the government. Do you see that dynamic at all? And if not, could it be that Democrats actually hold out longer just to not prove it?
Whose characterization is that Democrats are afraid of their voters? That is a ridiculous characterization. When we consistently have been on the right side of the American people on all of the things, on the economy, on health care, on nutritional assistance, on the rule of law, on standing up for law-abiding immigrant communities, on defending our history, on the American way of life, and of course on democracy itself. And we're going to see that tomorrow, that we're on the right side of the American people. That's what this fight has been all about. And Republicans are angry, shaken up, confused, perplexed, and dismayed because they thought that their my way or the highway approach to governing was going to prevail. But Democrats in the House and the Senate, and I'm thankful for the leadership of Chuck Schumer and the courage and strength of Senate Democrats, because we're standing up for the health care of the American people, and that matters. And that's what this fight has been all about.
Mr. Leader.
Thanks.
Thank you, Leader. Mike Johnson today said that he was paying attention to the November 21st date that they have attached to their CR. If Republicans are forced to rewrite or amend their CR, do you see that as an opening to demand negotiations?
Yeah, the partisan Republican spending bill is dead on arrival. And it's been completely and totally unreasonable that Senate Republicans 13 different times have presented a bill that they know is going to go down to defeat because Senate Democrats and House Democrats continue to stand up for the health care of the American people. It's dead on arrival. And if in the next day or so, House and Senate Republicans finally come to that conclusion, then maybe that's a small step in the right direction as it relates to actually having bipartisan conversations to enact an enlightened spending bill that actually makes life better for the American people and doesn't continue to gut the health care of everyday Americans.
Mr. Leader.
Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. On multiple prior occasions when Republicans have shut down the government, they never got whatever policy demands they were getting at that time. Tomorrow will tie the record for the longest shutdown in history. Do you feel like Democrats are closer to getting their policy demands here, or is this change in strategy going to be necessary soon?
Our position remains clear. Reopen the government. Let's stand by our hardworking federal civil servants. Let's find a bipartisan path forward to enacting a spending agreement that actually lowers costs, because the cost of living in America is too high. This country is far too expensive. Donald Trump and his tariffs are making things worse, not better. And anything that we do, any path that we find to move forward, has to decisively address the Republican health care crisis. Thank you, everyone.